And today we're diving into something that's really fundamental to how computers manage tasks and data, queues.
Right. We've got some great source material here covering, well, everything from the basic definition, how they stack up against stacks, obviously,
Yeah. Yes.
world uses, different types like linear and
Mhm.
circular, and how you actually, build them with arrays or linked lists.
So our mission today, let's really unpack queues. Why are they such a big deal in computer science?
Let's do it.
Okay, so queues. The word itself, it kind of suggests waiting in line, doesn't it? Like for coffee or at the checkout.
And it's actually a perfect analogy. The sources define a queue as an ordered collection of homogeneous data items.
Homogeneous meaning. All, the same type of thing, right? Like all customers in that line.
Precisely. But the key parts are ordered collection and the strict rules for adding and removing items.
Rules being.
You can only take things out from the very front. First one in line gets served first.
Okay.
And you can only add new things to the very back. Join the end of the line.
So first one in is the first one out. FIFO.
Exactly. FIFO, first in, first out. That's the core principle. The coffee line is the perfect example. First person to arrive gets the first coffee.
Makes intuitive sense. First come, first served, as the source material puts it. Simple idea, but I guess the power is in how it's used.
It really is.
Ah.
And it helps to contrast it, like you mentioned, with stacks.
Right, stacks are the opposite, aren't they? Like piling up plates.
The last one you put on top is the first one you take off. That's a LIFO, last in, first out.
So stacks are kind of about reversing order. The source mentions things like undo functions or unwinding processes.
Yeah, exactly, where you want to deal with the most recent thing first. Queues preserve the original order, therefore when sequence matters.
Interesting, though, the source notes that sometimes you can use either a stack or a queue for the same problem, like checking for palindromes.
You can. Yeah. They just approach it differently based on how they manipulate that order.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, yeah, queues are kind of the opposite of stacks in how they handle the sequence.
Okay, concept clear, but let's make it more concrete. Where do these queues actually pop up in, the technology we use every day?
Oh, everywhere. Once you start looking,
Hmm.
think about your computer's operating system, especially if multiple programs are running.
Right, multitasking.
Yeah, or in multi-user systems. The OS uses queues to manage all the requests for shared resources, like who gets to use the processor next, or access memory. It keeps things orderly and fair.
Stops everything trying to grab the CPU at once, like a digital waiting line.
Exactly like that. Or think about printers. You send multiple documents to print.
And they go into a print queue.
Right,
They print in the order you sent them.
precisely. Another big one is network communication. Sometimes data arrives faster than your device can process it. So queues act as buffers, holding that incoming data like email packets or video stream data, making sure it gets processed in the correct sequence. It prevents things getting jumbled up.
Wow. So printing, multitasking, streaming,
Yeah,
they're kind of quietly running the show behind the scenes,
very much so. And this basic FIFO idea gets implemented in a few different ways.
leading to different types.
Right. The source mentions linear queues, which are the most straightforward, usually built with arrays or linked lists.
Okay.
Then you have circular queues, which are a clever way to use space better, especially with arrays.
Circular, like they loop around.
Sort of, yeah. We'll get into that. And it also briefly mentions priority queues, where it's not strictly first come, first served, but based on, well, priority. Often uses something called a heap.
Okay, lots to unpack there. Let's start with the basic linear ones. Arrays versus linked lists. What's the deal there?
So the static way uses arrays. Static because you decide the maximum size up front when you create the queue.
Fixed size, like a box that can only hold so many items.
Exactly. You need that block of memory. And you use markers, usually index variables called front and rear, to track where the queue starts and ends within that array.
Right. The source shows my array, front, rear, and it says front and rear are often -1 when it's empty.
That's a common convention, yeah. To add an item that's in queue, you basically move the rear marker forward one step, then put the new item there.
Okay, increment rear, then add.
And to remove an item to queue, you move the front marker forward one step, and then the item it's now pointing to is the one you retrieve.
Increment front, then get. Makes sense. The source has a nice little step-by-step walkthrough showing how front and rear move.
Yeah, those examples really help visualize it. And the key condition for empty in this setup is often when front becomes equal to rear.
Because the start has
Pseudocode too, which strips it down to the bare logic for onQ, deque is empty.
and then there's actual C++ code showing a class with those functions, display, getFront, and a main example.
It makes it concrete. You can see checks for queue overflow trying to add to a full array and queue underflow trying to remove from an empty one.
So the main limitation seems pretty clear. That fixed size. What if you suddenly get way more items than you expected?
Yep, that's the risk. Queue overflow, you're stuck.
But the upside seems like it might be simple and maybe fast because arrays are just chunks of memory.
Generally, yes. Array access is very direct and can be very fast. Simplicity is definitely a plus, but that fixed size is the major trade-off.
Okay, so that's the static array-based approach. What about the dynamic one using linked lists?
Now this is where you get flexibility. Dynamic means the queue can grow or shrink while the program is running. No fixed size limit, well, beyond available memory.
How does that work? No array.
Instead of one big array, you use individual nodes. Think of them like links in a chain. Each node holds one data item and a pointer, basically an arrow, pointing to the next node in the queue.
So it's a chain of items.
Pretty much. The queue itself just needs to know where the very front node is and where the very rear node is. The source shows a queue node structure for this, holding the value and the next pointer.
Okay. And adding an item on queue.
You create a brand new node for the item. You make the current last node point to this new node. And this new node becomes the new rear. If the queue is empty, it becomes both front and rear.
So you're literally adding a new link to the end of the chain.
Exactly. And Deque, you just look at the front node, grab its data, and then update the front pointer to point to whatever node it was pointing to. The second one in line becomes the new front.
And if that was the only node?
Then the queue becomes empty, and both front and rear would point to nothing, usually represented as null. The source has diagrams showing this linking and unlinking.
Yeah, visualizing the pointers helps a lot. And there's a C++ structure for a linked queue class too.
Outlining the same kinds of operations. OnQ, deque is empty, etc., but using pointers and nodes instead of array indices.
So the big plus here is definitely the flexible size. No overflow worries, technically.
Right. As long as you have memory, you can add items.
But maybe it's a bit more complex to manage. All those pointers connecting nodes seems like more overhead than just an array index.
There is a bit more overhead, yes. Managing memory for individual nodes, handling the pointers correctly, it adds some complexity compared to the array's directness.
So it's a trade-off again. Simplicity and potential speed of arrays versus the flexibility of linked lists.
Exactly. Depends on what you need. Do you know the maximum size beforehand? Is flexibility more important than absolute raw speed in accessing elements?
Makes sense. Okay, linear queues covered static arrays, dynamic linked lists. Now, what about these circular queues? You said they help with space.
They do, specifically with the static array implementation. Remember that problem where the rear hits the end of the array, but there's empty space at the beginning because you dequeued items?
Yeah, the array says, I'm full, even when it's not really full, just used up at one end.
Right. Circular queues fix that. They let the queue wrap around. Imagine the array isn't a line, but a circle.
Okay.
When the real pointer gets to the last spot, say index n1, the next spot isn't an error, it's index 0 back at the beginning, assuming index 0 is empty.
So it loops back.
Yeah.
That's clever. How do you code that loop back?
With a neat little trick using the modulo operator, the percent sign, percent. The source calls it the magic equation.
Okay.
To find the next position for rear, you calculate rear plus 1% size. Size is the array's total capacity.
Let's see. If rear is, say, 4 in an array of size 5, 4 plus 1% 5 is 5% 5, which is 0. It wraps to the start.
Exactly. And if rear is, say, 2, then 2 plus 1%, 5 is 3% 5, which is just 3. So it increments normally when it's not at the boundary.
That's really elegant. Just one simple operation handles both cases.
It is. The pseudocode for the circular queue shows this modulo operator in action for ANQ. You'd use a similar logic for DQ with the front pointer.
Of course, you still need to know if it's actually full, right? To avoid wrapping around and overwriting data that's still waiting at the front.
Absolutely. The is full and is empty checks become a bit more subtle in a circular queue because front and rear chasing each other around the circle can mean different things. You need careful logic there.
Right. So, where would this circular approach be most useful?
Think anywhere you have a fixed size buffer that you want to use as efficiently as possible, where items are continuously added and removed. The source mentions traffic management systems, maybe.
Okay, like tracking cars passing a point.
Could be. Or resource allocation pools in operating systems. You have a fixed number of printers or network connections managed in a cycle. Task scheduling, where tasks might run repeatedly in order.
So basically, when you have a fixed capacity but want to avoid that false full problem of the simple linear array queue.
You got it. It maximizes the use of that fixed space.
Wow. Okay, so we've gone from the simple coffee line idea all the way to these quite sophisticated implementations.
We have from FIFO basics through arrays, linked lists, and this efficient circular model.
It's pretty clear how fundamental this concept is. That simple idea of order, first in, first out, really drives a lot.
It brings structure and fairness to so many processes that would otherwise be chaotic. Managing resources, handling data streams,
Yeah.
it's essential.
So, quick recap for everyone listening. Queues are FIFO, unlike stacks, which are LIFO.
You're right. Add to the rear, remove from the front.
We see them in OS task scheduling, print queues, network buffers, lots of places.
And they can be built with static arrays, simple, fast, but fixed size.
Or dynamic linked lists, flexible size, but a bit more overhead.
And circular queues are that clever array-based version that wraps around to reuse space efficiently.
So hopefully you, our listener, have a much better handle on queues now, what they are, why they matter. It's not just a line, it's a core computer science tool.
Definitely. Which actually leads to a final thought, maybe something to chew on. We've seen how strictly FIFO queues operate in computers. But stepping back, think about the wider world. Where else do you see this first in, first out principle strictly applied? Outside of tech, I mean.
Like actual physical lines, obviously, but maybe other systems.
Yeah. And what are the implications of that order? What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks when things must be processed in the exact order they arrived?
Interesting. Sort of looking at the world through a queuing lens.
Give it a try. You might be surprised how often that pattern or the lack of it shapes things.
A great point to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into queues.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one. Keep thinking.